Start recording. All right. So I want to start off this week with just a quick recap, and some stuff we went over, and I'm adding some stuff. Really? Yes and no. So last week we went over some commands. We went over yum. We went over RPM. We went over some making a user, uh, checking out permissions. Some of this is gonna be a recap of last week, and then some of this is gonna be, new, and then some of this is gonna be um probably a something familiar to you, but it's all in good intentions. I think next week when we come back, we'll probably do some hypervisor stuff. Maybe some Docker stuff. I have to think about it because I want you to start using some tools and stuff uh, that you can use in your work uh, on your day to day. Everything here you can use in your work on your day to day, and everything here is uh, based on interviews and so forth. So let's get started. I do have a terminal here. All right, let me clear this screen. Any questions before we get started about anything from last week or anything? If you do, just type them in there and I'll make sure I get to them. And if you have questions, I'll make sure I get to them as well too about this week. So type them in or interrupt or raise your hand. You know what? I don't think you can raise your hand in this module. I think you just have to type, but that's okay. All right.
Tamika,
So
hey, it's
let me see who's
Alexander.
all
Sorry
in
I'm
here
late.
before I do get started. Uh, Shania, Tracy, man, we lost one of we lost some of our fellas, but that's okay. That's all right. We're okay if we lose the fellas. They'll be back. They always come back. All right. So let's get started. All right. So last week I went over Yum, and to clear my screen, what I'm typing is two things. I can type clear, or if I do this, let me do this. Let me just do a couple of things, and then I do on my Mac, I can do Command L. Oh, that didn't do it. Control L. Control L, not Command L. Control L. All right. So that's how I'm clearing my screens. All right. So last week I went over Yum, and we did something like a Yum update dash Y, so we can say, okay, go ahead and do what I asked you to do without you asking me, is it okay for me to do it? That's what the Yum update dash Y does. As you can see, I was playing with Kubernetes as well too. So no packages to be updated. Also, we did a Yum list. So if I do a Yum list, it's gonna go to all the mirrors, or not mirrors, or all the repos that I have. And let me blow this up some. All the repos that I have, and it's going to list all the packages in those repos. And I didn't set up the EPEL on this machine, so we can recap and do that as well right now. And remember last week with the EPEL, I showed you, let me show you this. I showed you if you went over to etc yum.repo d and do an ls, you'll see all the repos that are available to you, and that's where it's pulling from. So if you looked here, let me see if I can get scroll up real quick. Don't get dizzy. I don't want to redo the command. I just want to scroll up. Come on. All right. As you can see, I'm pulling from the base, the extras, and so forth. And then it also showed the Kubernetes one as well too, that I was pulling from. So then it also, if you look over here, you'll see this a list of stuff that's installed. And then let me go here, put that down. So when I go to set these things up, let's do something. Let's look at cat star. I'm trying to read everything in this directory. repo. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to pipe this over to less. The reason why I piped it over to less because I would get this if I didn't scroll off my screen. So if I do less is going to give me, it's going to slow it down so I won't have to, try to scroll off the screen. So basically I catted every single file in that directory that ended in .repo. And I passed it the wildcard parameter with the star, or some people call it the glob. And then I piped that over to another command called less. I could pipe that over to a command called head, and I can tell it to give me the first 20 lines. And all it does is just prints out the first 20 lines of that command. But I want to look at everything. So let's just pipe it over to less. All right. So you can see from CentOS base, again, recapping from last week, I have the mirror here, the mirror list, and it's pulling based upon some environment variables. That star-server release is an environment variable, and then the star base search is an environment variable. And we're going to get into those today too. Then here where it's talking about released updates, and I want you to note something in here where it says enabled equal to 0, meaning it's not on, meaning I'm not pulling from that repo. But by default, these are being pulled, even though there's no enable equal to 0 to them, or enable equal to 1. All right, so that's that one. Here's another file, fast track. You see it's enable 0. The media, meaning if I downloaded it, and you'll run into this. So say you're in a situation where you don't have a machine, where you don't have internet, but you have the disk. So you could literally take a disk and upload it to your machine, mount it, and upload the contents to your machine. So you could do. I should do that next week. I'll make a note of that, of how to do a mount on an ISO that you download from the internet, and you just want to get the contents off of it. It looks like we're experiencing some delay here. Then the other thing is, all right, we looked at that, but now we want to. Did I lose mine? I guess I did. I guess I lost my machine. That's awesome. Control Z, Control C. There we go. Lost my connection. Is everyone still there? Are you serious? Huh? I am on 5G. It's always something. I'm rolling out and printing out shit. I messed up my recording. Am I back? I think I'm back. Sounds like I'm back. I think. No? Do you see me up? All right. Yeah, I don't know why I'm not seeing it. Am I back? Can y'all hear me? Oh man, I don't know what happened. Dion is on, but I'm not. You can't hear? Let me look.
I can hear you now, Sam.
What about now?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Now
Mr. Alexander checking in. Tamika.
you can hear now.
Tamika.
Looks like my microphone is moving.
Yeah, we hear you.
Oh, okay. Nobody said anything. Oh.
You're clear for flight.
Now try again. Check your cord. I'm trying not to yell through this microphone
Let's go
because she's
back
in
in
other.
again. All right. I'm all off. Where was I? Oh,
We can still hear you.
Okay. So with the repo, we check the repos to see what's enabled. Let's get the EPEL like we did last week. And I am just going to copy this link because this link is going to set up the repo for me. And I want to show you that it does that. I need EL7, sorry. So let me grab this. And everyone, y'all can hear, right?
Yep, we can hear you loud and clear.
Let me do this. Let's see, what is this? This is SSH. Let's go over here to this. And I want to show you something. All right. I think I showed you this last week, but let's do this. Let's go over to etc. Let me blow this up. etc yum.repo here. And let's do ls. You see what's in this directory. ls minus l gives me a list of permissions and so forth, and we're going to get into that. But now what I want to do, I want to clear, and then I want to do a watch ls minus l on that. All right. And let me get this down. And then let me shrink this back down. Let's put them side by side. All right. It's clear. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I still have that command in my buffer. So what I'm going to do is yum install, and then I'm just, oh, that's awesome. It highlighted the thing. It didn't copy the link. Let's get that link because it's supposed to copy the link and not the text. Copy link address. Let's go back. All right, there we go. All right, now on the right hand side, I'm watching the directory here on where we go etc yum.repo because it's going to create a repo file in this directory, all from this command. and you'll see it pop up. All right. As I'm going to do yes. You see that? Did you see that? EPL repo and EPL testing all popped up. So over here, I'm gonna quit on the left hand, on the right hand side. I'm gonna quit, and then let's just cat the EPEL star. All right. So in these two files that got created, you'll see that I have enable equal to 1. We just had that conversation now that, I'm enabling a repository. I have debug turned off. I have the source meaning source packages. Debug meaning there are some debug packages in there that I could install when I want to do some debugging of the OS, and some testing stuff and some testing source. All those are turned off. So now on my left hand side, I'm going to clear my screen. And I'm just going to do a yum update. And it's going to go and pull that new repository that I just pulled in and then give you a listing of potential RPMs that you could update based on that pull of that new repository. And that was the gist of what we did last week. We went over RPM. I showed you the difference between an RPM install. I showed you the difference between a yum install. RPM install doesn't find dependencies. It only finds the actual, it tries to install the one RPM. We did a yum downloader where we were able to download the RPMs, and then we could set up our own repo with the yum create repo. And then we went over just some basic commands. So this week, what I have in store is this. I'm gonna post this inside of Meetup. Once the class is over with, it'll probably come to you in the email. But Yum security. So let's go look at Yum security. All right, and let me grab that link for you. I'll post this, but in case you want to follow along right now, I'll post these things so you have them. All right, so let's grab this. All right, so Yum security. Now, sometimes you get, and not sometimes, all the times, you get in situations where you don't want to update everything. You just want to update the security modules or the security packages for your server or your instances. So it's called Yum security. We can minimize this one, and we can move this over to here. So you can see there's a plugin, but we're not sure what it's called in Rails 7, right? So let's do a Yum search and do security. It's going to search the entire repositories for the word security. But that's not what we want. We can pipe that over to Yum because, pipe that over to grep and grep for Yum because that's what we want. So we're going to search, and it's going to try to find security, Yum for Yum plugin security. It doesn't find it. So let's see what it says here. The plugin is already a part of 7, so no need to install. But in 6 and 5, there's something you need to install. All right, so let's go and look at all the errors. And let me explain what some of this is. So there is a database, and this goes for Microsoft, Ubuntu, Oracle, all of them, that has a list of known viruses and vulnerabilities for all your stuff. And let me do this. It's NIST security. So basically, everybody follows the NIST framework. It's something that you would need to know. This is something that you would probably want to bookmark as a question on an interview or a question on just in your day-to-day when you're doing stuff. That's just one of them. So I think this is more what I'm talking about. It may be I may have to type in this CVEs. May fall on the Mitra. Yeah. Yeah. Let's go back there. Vulnerabilities is what we want. All right. They changed their site. All right. So they give you a status on like vulnerabilities. All right. They tell you like what's been analyzed or hasn't, what's been rejected. We could search. So let's look for vulnerability CVEs. Let's type in time and let's do a search and see what it comes back with. All right, so let's see, constant. So it's just finding the word time. It's not finding the package, but you can break it down by package. I have to play with their site some more, but you get the gist here of like I can drill down a little bit more into what's going on with that particular CVE, and it'll tell you what that CVE is, and it tells you what the solutions are, and it tells you what where they're at with it. So let me go all the way back out and give you this link so you could do your own search and start playing with it.
Hey, Tamika, so I'm sorry if
So let's go back over here and let's clear and let's do a yum update info list available. Now keep in mind I've updated this machine, so it may or may not find anything. So let's see what happens. And this link is one of the links that I gave you. All right. So let's run that command again, and then let's pipe that over to less so it doesn't scroll off. And then let's look at what it's telling us. It's telling us Fedora EPO new package and the actual package information. And it's given new package, enhancement, and bug fix. So let's get into that. And look, here's a moderate security and so forth. So, and important security. I'm pretty sure if you saw important security, you would probably want to install that and get that fixed. So let's go over here and let's do this. Let's grab enhancement. And there is a Red Hat listing out here for what these are. Let me see if this page will pull it up. Let's see. And I just want to see if they give you like there's a document that tells you everything that goes on, like, and this is another one that's important. If you want to browse their CVEs or what they have, like it's resolved, it's ongoing and stuff. So each OS should have something similar to this. So here it is right here. If it's low, most people don't worry about, but when it's important, critical, and even moderate, people scream like, yo, you need to update your stuff. This is not going to fly when they do a security scan or an audit. And what does each one of those mean? Okay, I think this is just a listing by important or whatnot. They don't have the breakdown of it. I'll have to search and find the breakdown of like what each one of them means. And then like the bug fix that you saw, meaning that there was some bug that they solved inside of this particular package. And then new package, meaning this is a new package. There's probably an older package of this, and there's a new package. This is the new package. An enhancement, meaning it's probably the same package. They just put some enhancements inside of the package that particular package. But these right here that say moderate security, you want to make sure you take care of those. Any questions so far? All right, now here it says to list all the available security updates without installing them. Let's do the run update info list security. We do up arrow, and we just change this to list SEC. And it's going to go out and pull down some information about security updates. I'm assuming my list is done. Let's do the dash dash. Let's do the all. I'm pretty sure I can just leave that. Let's do all here. Everybody still with me and everybody can still hear me? All right. So you see here that we got important, we got none, but there's some security stuff on Python, just a whole bunch of stuff. And notice it's Fedora Apple, meaning that we got Fedora and Apple pulling from the same thing. What's low was moderate. Just a good list for you to have. So now it says to get a list of what security dates are currently installed. Okay, well, let's look and see if we have stuff that's installed. Let's cut and paste. I could have just did an up arrow. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Let's do an up arrow and do installed. All right. So it's going to go through, pull everything. Okay. All right. So that was that. This right here applies to Rel 5. Now this right here said now I want to get a description. So I could do a yum info dash sec. So yum, is it info dash sec? Yeah. So let's see what it returns. Nothing. All right, let's see what I was supposed to get. I was supposed to get verbose security updates of all the issues that apply. Running the following command to download them. Remember we did the yum downloader? Well, we can do in here. We can do the yum update dash security. That's just gonna download the security updates for us instead of upgrading the whole system. And then after that, we can do like a minimum. But this is what I really wanted to get to. I really want to show you like you can go search the CVEs and then we can do an update just by the CVE. And then it'll tell you, what that CVE is. Remember, I showed you Yum update info list. And you see that it came back with what those Red Hat advisories were. There's that, but then there's also I can do it by just the CVE, and we can get that from the actual page. But we can also list CVEs as well. So here, let's list the CVEs. So this is the CVEs for this particular one. Yum update info list done. You're not listing, so I guess I'm up to date with my stuff. But even further, let's do a man Yum Dash Security is what they calling it. Yeah. So if you have a system and you're not sure if it has all of the security updates, you can go ahead and I'm going to find a search on that one where it's at for CentOS 7. Apparently that's not on here for CentOS. Maybe that's on there for Red Hat. But you have a good idea of like what's the security stuff and how you can find that information out, your CVEs, and then you can come back over here and go directly to Red Hat's website and see what the latest CVEs are. You can do a search by different products. Let's see if we can go by Red Hat. Let me see. I saw the old one. Not the certification. Let's try the work. No, yeah, that'll be fine. So this is like the workstation, and then here the developer tool set that comes with it, and it tells you when they were published. Yeah, that's the latest that it was published. That's the last time I guess they updated that particular tool set or that particular RPM. Doesn't look like they had any newer. And I try to go by date here. Yeah, so 2014 is it. So that's the good rundown of Yum and Yum security. There's no RPM security other than signing the RPM packages and making sure your GPG check is correct. So let me talk about that. So there's a way you can check to make sure that the RPM signature, say you download an RPM from and this is real important, like when you download an RPM from a random location and you're like, man, I don't know if this RPM is any good or not. You can do what they call a GPG check. So I'll put this in here. Correct. So in here they talk about right here, if you wish to verify that a package has not been corrupted or tampered with, you want to check the MD5 sum. And then they give you the RPM-K no signature and the RPM file. So there's the actual RPM itself, and it checks it against the system, and it says well the MD5 is okay. So let's clear and let's do a Yum. I don't think downloader is installed. Let me do a search for it because it may be already automatically in here. So let's do Yum install. Let me think. Vim. I don't think I have Vim on here. Okay, you remember last week I can do yes, download, or no. So I'm just going to choose the D command to download. It stores it all in var cache and probably in Yum and x86 64 7. Is that right? Let me look and see what Yum downloader installed those. I remember last week we were in var cache. I don't see my RPMs. Let's do it ls minus lrth star so we can get it to list everything so I don't have to go through here and try to figure it out. Let's do another star. All right, so let's see. Looks like it downloaded in base packages. All right, so let's go over to base. And you see how quickly I found out where it was at. And then let's go to packages. All right. So we know we have, and let me double verify, yeah, they're downloaded. They're actual files here. They're not links or anything. So now let's run this command here. And you could do this, like you could set up a script so that when you download RPMs and then you want to do a check on them, you can do a check on it. And it comes back and tells me that signature and stuff matched up with it. What if we did, let's do a man on RPM. Let's look at the dash capital K. It doesn't return. All right, so let's see if we can find that flag in here. If not, I'll look online. But what I want to see, let's see, signature. Okay, don't verify the package header signatures. That's one. Display signature and time. So I don't have an option for just signature. I just have no signature. And then I don't see anything else in here. All right. So we verified that that's ours, but that is okay. But we can make our own GPG key. We can make our own, RPM and set up our own little repository and sign them. And then if somebody wants to check our package to make sure it's okay, and that's something that we had, that we make sure it was okay, and they want to use that GPG to check, they can use that. Just making sure that it's not hasn't been tampered with when it downloads. So that's just a little bit more security on RPMs, and then Yum, and then Yum security. Any questions? Because you're gonna move on to what gets placed in your home directory when your home directory is created. I kind of went over this last week, but I want to show you in detail. So if I go to etc/skel and I do an ls-a, these files automatically get placed into your home directory when your home directory gets created. So I'm gonna do a user add tread, and let's do what we did before. I can't because I don't have that file created. I don't have that directory created. But that's okay though, because we're gonna show a different one. That's okay. We're gonna show this in motion. So I added the user tread. Now, by default, when I do the user add command, it automatically creates my home directory in /home. I can redirect that with other switches or options on that particular command. But for right now, I just want to show you in /home, you'll see tread. Also in /home, under tread, you don't see anything, right? Because I just did a ls. But if I go back and do this with ls-a to show me hidden files, I'm going to see those same files that I saw up here under etc scale actually go right here that got created in my directory. So say I have a whole bunch of users and I want all their directories to have the same links and so forth and so on. And I'm in etc scale. So let's do this. Let's make a file. Let's make a file and let's call it newbie text. I'll have Vim install. I need to install it, but for right now, this is fine. Inside this file, I'm just going to put some information. I could put information about where they can find stuff. Hey, once you get logged in, do the following. Check mail. Check permissions. And I can put anything I want to in here. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to bring up our other terminal that we had before. Yeah, we're still logged in. And we're going to go over to home. And we're going to do a watch on ls -l. All right. So first things first, we're going to create a user. And what do you expect to see inside that directory of that user? The new one that we just created. Remember, the one we just created with tread has this in it. It has those four hidden files. But now we're going to add a new user. And over here, we're going to see that home directory get created as well too. We're gonna call it read T. All right, you see read T got created. All right, and you see the permissions that it got created with. We're gonna talk about that too. But let's go over here to read T. CD home read T, and then let's do ls minus a. And you can see unewbie.txt is in there in that directory, in that home directory, versus when I did tread, it wasn't there because I didn't have anything in that directory. In Etsy scale, I didn't have anything in there. So that's how you can put stuff in there. Now you can take this one step further and say we're not setting up users on our local instances. We're going to use IPA and then go from there and work that out. But I'll show you that later on in the class. So that's what's usually gets set in your home directory. Well, also, let's talk about this as well. Well, what we can see here is also when it created my home directory, it created my home directory with these permissions. And so let's break these permissions down some so you have an idea of what those permissions mean. So let's go here and let's explain permissions. And let's grab this. All right. So I really want to focus on this. And I want to explain the dot today. All right. What you see here on this line with DRWX and then dash dash dash, what you see is a set of permissions that get set all over this file system. When I say file system all over this instance, everything has permissions. And what those permissions are set up according to the package, the file, what it needs to be ran as. Does it need to be ran as a regular user or so forth and so on? With these permissions right here that I'm looking at they're telling me one thing. That let's go. I went over this last week, but I'll reiterate. The D, that equals to directory. This RWX, not S, is equal to read, write, execute. And then everything else that's got these dashes behind it, meaning they have no permissions. Okay? But there's a little bit more to this. So what you see right here is these three commands or these three permissions right here. These go with the user group. And it goes user, and after that is three more permissions, group, and then after that is three more permissions, other. So what I'm going to show you is I'm going to, based upon these permissions that got set, let's look at these permissions. You can see, let me clear this and do it from here. You can see that the user is CentOS and the group is CentOS. And the name of the actual directory is CentOS. But it doesn't have to be. It could be CentOS, read T, and then CentOS. You can change the groups as much as you want to. You can add people to groups. It's just like all of you are a part of Women in Linux, but everyone doesn't have access to your login when you log in or your channel when you log in. It's the same type of mentality you should have. Everybody doesn't need access to everything. And in the world of of security and Linux and cloud, you always want to start with the least amount of privileges first. It's kind of like, someone asks you, hey, uh, can I have access to your house? Well, the first thing you ask is why. One. and who are you, and what do you need access to it for? And is there a way I can give you the least amount of access to whatever it is that you need, right? And that least amount of access could be, hey, you need to clean the pool. Well, then you need to go like fly over the fence and then drop down and do what you need to do and then fly back over because I don't want to give you the code. Being exaggerated here, but that's what you can do. So what you see is it's a directory, and I'm looking here. It's a directory that has read, write, execute. And that terminology goes like this. So R is equal to 4, W is equal to 2, and X is equal to 1. And altogether, RWX equals to 7. Meaning I have full permissions to do whatever I want to do. And as you can see, everyone else has nothing. So the actual permissions on this particular directory is 700. Meaning anybody else who's not a part of the CentOS group, or who's not the user, not the group, but who's not the user of CentOS, won't have permissions to it. If I add the user to that group, if I added read T to that group, they still won't have permissions to that directory until I change those permissions. And those permissions, I can say, okay, well, I'm going to change that. Let's leave that at 7. On the directory, it's 700. Let me change that so it's properly shown. Now, on the actual directory, if I want to say that I want people who join this group, the CentOS group, to have permissions just to read, then I'm going to change the permissions to 740, because I just want them to read. I don't want them to do anything else. So that's how it works for setting up permissions, but we can get funky with permissions, and we're going to do probably another class on that where we spend a whole hour on, probably 2 hours on permissions, because permissions are very important. So that's how permissions are broken down: read, write, execute. We're not going to get into sticky bits. We're not going to get into group IDs tonight or whatnot. But I do want to show you where those things come from. So if you do it Etsy and cat on Etsy password, and just grab the last 5 lines. They don't have it in there. All right, there they are. So you see T read, right? And you see read T. And what you see is, let me clear this. What you see is, you see a user named read T who has user and group IDs, UID and GID of 1002 and 1002. I could change my UID and my GID if I wanted to on when I made my user. And you see my home directory is /home read T. I could change that as well too. And you see /bin/bash. That's my shell. I can change that as well too. So by default, if we look at etc logins.dev, I had that installed, you'll see some stuff in here. And what you'll see is, anytime that I create a user, their minimum UID is going to be at really whatever the last UID was created. But it starts off at 1,000 and maxes out at 600,000. I mean 60,000, and then the GID starts at 1,000 and then goes up from there. And I also in here see that when I create a user, you're telling me that I get to create a home directory. Yes, create a home directory for that user as well too. And enable users to remove enable user del to remove users from group if no members exist. Yes. So these are things that happen by default, and I can change these things so they don't happen by default. I can come in here and manipulate this file to change that. So another thing is if you did a man on user add. All right, so in here it says where I create the baster. Well, I'm telling it to create my home directory somewhere else. Well, we know -d, and baster is the base directory, but they'll have like a. We'll get into that base home directory. I'll get into that because you can set that too. But your home directory, I could pass the -d. I could pass when this user expires, like the ability to log in. The GID, remember I told you I could change that. Like I don't have to start at 1,000. I might want the user to be at 4,000, their group to be at 4,000 that they're a part of. I can add them to a group. -K, that's that scale. When we went under the etc scale, when I'm creating when I created that directory, the things got created. So it's just a lot of things that you could do. I can automatically create a password on the command line and go from there. The type of shell that I want that user to have I'll show you that user add money -s bins. Can I do the corn shell? No. How about CSH shell? Maybe. Yeah. So if I look at etc password and I go money, you'll see that I just changed the shell versus bash, having bash as the default. And I can change what the default shell is for the system as well too. All from there. So that's permissions, adding users. We're gonna dive off into permissions next week more because it's a lengthy class, so you can get your hands dirty on it. And then the other one I want to show you is etc group. So when oh man, this is killing me. Yum install vim. So while this is installing, I'll go over here. Where's my other little terminal that I had? It'll be finished by the time I find it. It sure will. 31, blah, 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 blah. Where'd you go? Oh, here you go. So if I go over here, it just got finished by the time I found it. Okay, if I go over here to group, you'll see that it created up the next group. Remember, I could pass the -g from the user add command to tell it that I don't want to be in group 1003. I want to be in, say, the wheel group, or I want to be in the CentOS group. So here's that wheel group I can be in, and we'll talk about the wheel group and what wheel does. All about permissions. So that's just a little bit about permissions, how users get created, what goes into their home directory, what permissions are set on their home directory. We'll talk more about UMask next week because that explains why permissions get set. We'll have a little test on permissions. Now here I'm going to skip that because that's going to go into customizing your bash prompt, but I want to show you where that comes from. And that comes from etc etc profile. And your etc bash as well too. So in here, we talk about your path and your ID. If that all works, if that comes up, it tells you to place in $2 and what your path should look like, what your prompt should look like, I should say. So let's go one step further. Let's go here. And I send you this link. And it's something you should play with. All right. So they were showing you here, like you could do, let me show you my prompt. So in my prompt, I have a user, I have the system I'm logged into, and I have the directory of where I'm at. But I could change this to show my user, the host name. I could change it to show different things with the PSI, with the PS1. And this is why I didn't want to do this today, because it's breaking this down into finding out what you can change this to, like understanding what uh, the PS1 is and so forth. So let's look at etc bash rc. So here's the command that you really get. It reads this and says, okay, prompt, and then it gives you what your prompt should look like. And that's where all this comes from. This P33 or this this printf and the 33 and what that does and all of that. Yeah, we're gonna get into all of that. So I didn't want to do that this week, but that gives you an idea and a heads up. All right, so let's go over the next thing. The next thing is, I think, history. So how do you check command line history? All right, so here's the one thing. You don't ever want to give people the root password to your system, and you really don't want to log in as root. Should be creating other users, but I destroy these every week, and I never play with a regular user. But this week, I'm going to show you the history command. So you see I have 112 lines, but let's look at man on history. All right. I don't think they have it in here. Let me do something. History. Is that show? Okay. So I can delete my history. I can do some offsets, but let's go back and do the history command again. Now, inside my history command, you see that I have commands that I've ran on here, right? A yum update, a yum docker install. I was playing around with Kubernetes and stuff, but remember we ran the yum search security and yum search security, but grep for yum. We did the mandb and so forth, but I want to run that command again. Let's pick 93 to run again. I just do exclamation 93. And it ran that command again, and it showed me that it ran that command again. So now if I go back and do the history, remember 93 was that command, but I've ran that command again. So we go back and look, it's still at 93, but it also shows up at 116. What you see is it's not changing the number of whether that command is at. It's just adding to it. So it's not changing it. It's just adding a new line to it. So you could change the history. You can change the history buffer in Linux so that you don't run out of command line, like say 100 or something like that. You want to change the buffer size. And on Putty, you can do this. I forget how it is. Yeah, his size. Okay, there it is. It's in that file. So let's go back over here. And let's look at etc scale.bash rc. Oh, they don't have it in here. Maybe just in the user itself. And it may be in that other file. Let's see if it shows up in here. Yeah, it's in the other file. The one directory we was just looking at, which was, where was that PS1 at? Let's go back. Is that for? I don't think that's for the whole system, but it may be. It may be the whole system. Let's do a vim on etc dot. Sorry, no, that was profile. Let's see. Edit anyway. Let's look at his. Yeah. So his size here. That was profile. So I could change this to the last 10,000 lines. And so I just changed that file, right? But it didn't take. So if I do a source etc profile, it's going to take for this particular it's going to take for this particular terminal that I'm in right now. But if I log out and come back in, or if the system gets rebooted, that's going to always be the setting forever for everyone that logs in. So now if I just do a history again, it's not going to give me 1,000 lines because I haven't typed in 1,000 things or 10,000 things, but I've increased the size of how far I can go back when it comes to my commands. And that's something you may want to set. You may want to increase that when you're playing around on your systems. Any questions? All right. So now let's talk about SSH keys. Why are they important? They're important in the terms of a couple of things. You don't want to log into computers with username and passwords because people can try back and forth to try to hit it. You want to set up some type of multi-form factor, or you want to set up some type of access PIM key or something of that nature. So I'm going to show you how to set up a PIM key, which I already have a PIM key set up on my box, but I'm just going to show you how to set it up, and then we'll log into. I'll start up another machine here, and then we'll log in to that machine after we pass it the SSH keys, and then we'll go from there. Let me spin one up right quick. All right, so let's go to my home directory. All right, so what you want to do is you want to do a SSH dash key gen dash T RSA. RSA is your minimum encryption, and we won't get into encryption tonight because there's different encryptions you can do, DSA, so forth and so on. But we're just going to create a key, and then we're not going to put a password on it. You can, and we're going to leave it empty, and it creates it, and the C is saved in this location here under that. And we have that public key. There's your private key, and then your public key. Your public key you can put on other boxes. Okay, so I've spun up my box, is ready to go. I need to log in. But I need to change this password first. So forgive me first for this, but this is how DigitalOcean got it set up. But we're gonna fix that. All right. Okay, I've changed the password. All right. So let's exit. So now I have that key over in root.ssh dot is id dash pub, right? You see that? But I need to get this key over to my other machine. So in order to do that, I'm gonna have to do this. SSH dash copy ID dash I, where that particular file is, .ssh, or key I should say. And then where I want to go and the user I'm going as. And I'm going as that user to this machine. And so now I put in the password for that machine. And you can see now it's telling me, hey, next time you SSH to that machine, you don't have to you don't have to put in a password or anything. So now I'm just gonna SSH. I don't have to do root at. I'm already root. It's gonna take whatever user you are to log in. I'm just gonna put that in, and you can automatically see that I got in. I'm on the new machine, and it's done. So what's so special about that? Well, what's special about that is this is how Ansible works. Ansible uses SSH keys to get back and forth to get information about a machine. So for this purpose, I can say I don't want to log in to that machine, but give me the uptime on that machine. And it's going to give me back the uptime of how long the machine has been up for 3 minutes, the time on that machine, and the load average. I don't want that. Let's cat var log of that machine messages. And off that machine, I'm pulling back the machine that I'm on and I'm catting that message. Now, I could take that very same information, redirect that to /temp to, let's put this down as that IP address .log. It saves that information now over in temp as that IP address .log. So now I can view it using vim or cat, and I now have all the information I want out of that machine without me ever logging into that machine in order to do anything that I want to do to that machine. I can shut it down. I can update it. Let's put that, and let's do a yum update. That's why. And you can see it went off to that machine, and now it's running that command on that machine to update it. And I can let that run. So I don't have to do anything now. All right, so that's how you do SSH keys. That's important as you start playing around with PIM files and AWS and SSH keys and so forth. That you'll understand it better. We should probably do a lab on that. All right, so one of the big things and one of the big differences from CentOS 6 or Red Hat 6 versus CentOS 7 and Red Hat 7 is we have what we call services. All right, so inside of Red Hat 6, you could start and stop services like this. You could say service firewall d stop, and it will stop your stuff. Well, going forward, Red Hat decided to match up, get rid of sysinit 5 and move over to system D as the control for the operating system for in terms of starting services and so forth. And so now everything is system CTL firewall stop firewall D. So before, as you can see, the command was the service, what you're going to act upon, and then the motion you want to do. Now it's the control that you want to do, the system control, and then what you're going to do to it, and then the service that you're going to act upon. So in this case, I'm acting upon firewall D, not installed, but let's see if IP tables is. No. So that's how you basically stop and start services. Now, you can do a system CTL list unit files. And I'm going to pipe this over to list. And you can see now I have a whole listing of all the files. But you can see I can't tell things, right? Like, I think I had to pass it with the color command. I forget what that color command is. I have to look it up. Let me see. So I guess I just pass it to DX and that gives me the color. Let's see. All right. I just press dash color or equal to X color. X color meaning D for bold or normal. So let's do X bold. I think that's how that works, if I'm reading that right. Is that right? I have to double check that. There's no option for dash equals. So am I supposed to do that? No, let's look at that. It's a good learning lesson. Oh, where'd you go? Let's try color. If not, we'll have to look it up. I'm gonna look that up real quick. Less command bold. We may have to look at the second line, but let's look and see. That's not what we want. Let's look at this one. Dash X, where are you? No? Hold on. Let's go Control F color. Alright. You don't look like you have any examples though. So it's dash color X. It didn't like that. I'm missing something. So I have to figure that out. But as you can see, I was just playing around, trying to show you more on that. But as you can see, when I do the less, I don't get the color, but I need to figure out why I don't get the color. I have to look at that. But these are the services that are enabled by default when the system reboots, that are disabled by default when the system reboots. We can turn them on. I can turn this on. It's a service. I may need a package, but let's see. System control. Spell it right. Let's enable. All right, you see it created the symlinks so that it knows that systemd knows that in multi-user target we need to start the service. So let's go back here and grep RP. Let's grep NFS RQ. All right. You see that now it's enabled. Before it wasn't enabled, but now it's enabled. And that's it. There's not all to it, but there's more. But this is just the basics of what you could do with that. You can set up your own services and so forth, but that's it. A little bit more advanced for this than what we're doing right now. All right, cron job I'll leave out because I want to dive off into these commands here. All right, so let's start. Whenever I want to find out something, say I have Python, all right? I have Python 2.72, but I have no idea where that's coming from. So I can type which Python 2.7, and it's going to tell me, oh, I'm running a one out of user bin. And I can say which bash. I'm running out of user bin bash. So it's telling me where these commands that I'm running that command line, where they're running from. And that's the whole purpose of which. It's like to find out what command you got set up and where is it running from. The locate command, I don't have it installed, but it comes from slocate. It may be mlocate. We'll have to find out. So it's mlocate. So what's so special about locate? Well, locate gives me the ability to have a database of the file system. And so I do a update DB. And it's going to go through and tell me where all the files are located at on the system. So if I want to know where bash is located at, I can say locate bash. And it came back and gave me everything associated with that word. But I also found out that, let me go to user bin. I also found out I have a user bin bash as well too. But it gives me everything associated with that word. Versus something like the find command doesn't do that. You can tell it to find stuff for you, but we'll get more into that as well too, because that's an important command to run. All right, the next command is WC. So I want to go to etc. and say I want to get a count of everything in this directory. All right, so I just did a ls minus l, but it didn't give me a count. So I can use my up arrow and pipe that over to my other command, wc word count, and then do a minus l. And it's telling me it's 193 items in there. But I can also do wc -- help, and it gives me things that I can do. If I want to print out the words in a file, the number of words in a file, I just print out the number of lines. So in etc, we have resolve.conf. Let's print out the number of words in that. Let's cat out resolve.conf. Let's pipe that over to wc, and let's do a count. And it's telling me it's 141 words in there. I want to make sure that's what count that W, that's bytes. Let's do W. 18 words. So that's also a lot of words. But 18 words in that file. And it's probably looking at words based upon this is a word and then a space in between it. So it's probably delimiting one space for that. So the next one is split. So anytime you're not sure about something, just do a split dash help. All right. So here it's telling me that split will read standard input, and then I could split on in a number of chunks. I could split on a number of lines. I could split a file into different portions and so forth. So it gives me information on it. So let's go online and look up examples of split in Linux. All right. So it's split and join. All right. As you can see, they have a tar file or a zip file, I should say, and they split the file up. And then what the results are these things here. And then they did an account on that. And then once they got the count of that, they're like, okay, cool. But now you can do other things with split. Like I want to split with the length of 5 characters. They also give you like how does the number of bytes you want to split a file up to. And what is this coming at? Well, it's coming like when you got large files and you need to transfer them, so you want to chunk them up into pieces, transfer those chunks, and then on the other end, you join everything back together. This is where the split comes into play. So I'd send you this file, this link, I should say, and I'll put it in the thing. All right, so let's go back and just let's do something here. Let's copy resolve.conf over to temp, and let's cd over to temp, and well, better yet, let's make a directory called play at the root file system. And let's copy that resolve.conf over there. And then I can cd over to play. First, let me show you there's nothing in there. Oh, yeah, I've smoothed resolve, but there's nothing else over there. And it's 2 hidden directories. We'll talk about that too. And not hidden directory, but we'll talk about it. So I could do this. I could say split dash n, and let's do 3 on play resolve.conf. And now if we do ls minus a, but didn't do anything. So let's go in here and see what happened. But I wonder if it put it in the directory I was just in. That's all right. We'll split it again. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. It put it in the directory I was just in slide etc. I need to redirect it. But as you can see, it split it up into 3 files for me. All right. So when you split, you're like, well, how do I get this back together? Well, that's what this join is. So now join is going to take stuff that I have. It's going to say, okay, well, you have those 3 files and you want to join them back into one. So let's look at this. That's a good example, but that's a little advanced. All right. These are the permissions. My file, blah, 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 blah. My file, blah. So, all right. It looks like we'll do a man on join. Oh, let's just do a join dash Let's just go. All right. So when file 1 or 2, blah, 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 blah. So let's do this. Let's cat xaa and cat xab and cat xac. So those are the three things that are already there. So let's join xaa, xab, xac until resolve-new.conf. Oh, I didn't like it. Extra operand. Okay. It didn't. You must can't join but 2 files at a time. That's fine. We'll do this. We'll join xab into resolve-new.conf. Oh, am I missing an operand? Oh, it's only just the 2 files. Okay. So let's just do this. Let's just join all 3 together. See if that works. No, don't like it. Okay, join xab is not sorted, so let's look at that. It's cat xab. So it didn't like it. All right, so let's see. We split them. We need to get them back together. Let's go back to our split command. Join should do it, but let's double check something. Make sure we're not missing anything. Now we see stuff with lots of zeros. Now to see the results, yes, customize, blah blah blah. Get details. Yeah. And that's all we should have had to do was join one file with another file. Well, let's find out what's going on. Because all you want to do is join xaa with xab. And you're telling me join xab2 is not sorted. I guess do I need to ignore? Check order. Do not check order. No check order. Let's do that. You still don't like me. Join operand xab. Yeah, you're there. Let's try xab and xac. Join extra operand xac. I don't know why she's telling me that. Then you tell me that's not gonna work on that. Oh, hold on. I didn't do dash dash. Yeah, it doesn't like that. We'll have to figure out how we can get them back together. You split, and you're supposed to be able to join them back together. Unparalleled lines. Let's try it out. This is good practice. Doesn't like it. Interesting. Well, when I figure out how we get them back together, I'll let you know. You should be able just to join them all back together once you get them on the other side. I think you have this line. Let me double check. Yep. All right. We're going to move on. I'll get back to that for next week. I'll write that down. The join command. And split. Get some examples. The next one is diff. All right. So, let's do, I'm going to put something in this resolve.conf file. So I'm just going to yank that. And then I'm going to copy resolve.conf over to resolve -new.conf. And then I'm going to copy resolve dot etc resolve.conf over to here. Yes. All right. So I should have two files, resolve.conf and resolve-new-conf. And as you can see, it has two. You see the size is different on it, right? All right. So with that size being different, I can do a diff on resolve.conf and a diff on resolve with resolve-new.conf. And it's telling me that there's a difference, right? It's saying that in this second file, which I do know because I put it in there, there's this, but in this first file, that's not in there. So if I want these two files to look alike, I should put this information inside that file. And you can automatically do that. I'll look at how to script that out for you. There's also another one called, I can't run it. It's called Meld. And what it'll do is Meld will, MELD, it'll bring up I wonder if you can use Meld from here, from command line. And what it'll do is it'll show you, it needs all this other stuff. It looks like it's just an X library. It doesn't have a command line option. But what it'll do, it'll show you the differences, and you can just click on it and just double click on what you want it to look like, and it'll make it happen for you. All right, so we talked about diff. I showed you copy. I've been doing it all night. Copy resolve.new to resolve.-new. Fine. Copy resolve.new over to resolve-new2.conf. And if I did a diff on these two, new.conf and resolve-new2, I get nothing because they're both the exact same. Now, in here, I want to, ls, I want to remove everything starting with XAA or starting with X. So I can do a remove with just X star, right? But it's going to ask me for every single file that comes up. Suppose you got 30 files in there. You don't want to answer that, right? Just say no. So I could do a remove dash. I could just do a remove XAA, and it's still going to ask me. But how do I get it not to ask me all those questions? If I do a remove dash dash RF X star, it's going to take anything that starts with X and going behind it and saying remove it. So I just removed it. If I go back in there now, I don't have that in there. Is it actually gone? No. What happened is I just actually removed the header or the pointer to that particular file, but that file still exists on the system. That's why they always tell you when you get rid of a hard drive, put a bullet in it or degauss it or whatever. That's the reason why. So that's removed. Cat I have been using all night. Cat resolve-new.conf. That's one way to look at a file. If I want to use head to look at a file, I can use head to look at a file. I can use head on var log messages, and it's just going to give me the top 10 things inside of that. I know, right? I can use head to give me var log messages, but I only want the first 3 lines of messages. Giving head of the first of var log messages and just the first 3 lines. And so you'll see this. It looks like 4. It's not, it's just a wraparound. It's just wrapped all the way around to the next line. So that's why you got that. Tail, I can tell you, I can tell var log messages, all right? And it's just going to print out some lines, but I want to get specific and I don't want everything to roll off my screen. And I just want you to give me the last 3 lines. I'm clear, and I'll do that again. Again, the last 3 lines. Less, I can less var log messages. Right? I did an LL, sorry. Less var log messages. You see, I'm getting, I'm reading the file, but as you can see, I'm able to control it. Like I could page down 1 line at a time. I can hit enter. I could do a couple of things. Grep. So let's do a less on var log messages and let's grep for Vim. Because I just did an install on that, and it's going to tell me that those packages got installed. It gives me the time, and actually it was ran on localhost that did it. Like it didn't come from an outside source. Cut is great, and I showed you that last week. So what I'm going to do is cat etc password. And you see that I get root, everything delimited by colon, so forth and so on. But I just want to get the first line of the first column out of that file. So I'm going to clear. I'm going to cat etc password. I'm going to pipe that over to cut. And I'm just going to do the, I know it's delimited by colon. And I just want the first field. And now I get the first field of that one. If I want field 1 through 4, I could just do 1 through 4, and it's going to give me 1 through 4. If I just want field 1 and 4, I just do 1 and 4. But you notice it gives me the delimiter inside of that, versus when we did last week, we did awk. Awk doesn't do that. So awk, I think it's awk-f, capital F, colon, and I think you do $print. And I could be getting this wrong. Yeah, I knew I was doing that wrong. Let me go get my awk down. I should know this off the top of my head, but I think I messed it up. Well, I know I messed it up. Awk. Here we go. That's what I was looking for. But it doesn't give me the. There we go. There's what I want. Okay, awk-f. Grab you. I was supposed to put you in parentheses. Same thing as this one. When I did a cut, I did 1 and 4. If I do awk, I do, I think I just do comma. I may not do comma. I think it's just $2. Yeah, and you can see the difference. I don't get this the delimiter. It got rid of the delimiter and just put them right next to each other. It's called field separator. That's what that's called. So let's do 4. You can see they're together. Let me see if I do 1 through 4. So you see it's printed out the dashes, and actually it's skipping some stuff. So you know that doesn't work. Yeah. All right. The next thing we want to show is sed, which I showed in the file, but let's go over here to play. And let's go here to resolve.conf. Doesn't matter. Okay, so inside of the file, I want to change something. So what sed allows me to do is search for something and replace it with this. So inside of here, what I'm going to search for, how I search is inside of Vim, I do a colon, I do %s/ and I'm telling it at this point that I'm searching for something, and I'm going to replace that with this, and I want to do this globally. Globally meaning the whole entire file. If I did not do the -G, it will only pick up the line in which I have my cursor on. So now you'll see everything that's 67 in here changed to 76, and there you have it. If I messed up and I made a mistake and I was like, oh my god, I ain't really want to do that, I just do undo, and it comes back. Just, you have to remember, you can't close out and undo. You have to do it right then, right? And hopefully your internet connection doesn't drop. All right. So that was said. So tar t. We did an SCP earlier. Rsync. We're gonna do that too. So let's go. Let's work backwards. So let's open up. I have another terminal open. Let's see if I can find it. No. Well, that's okay. Let's open up another terminal. Is that it right there? Yep. Okay. So the wall command is what I want to show you. I'm working backwards now. I'm not going any order. I got bored. All right. So the wall command is how you can message people who are on the system and you want to let them know that, hey, you're getting ready to do some updates or you want to talk to them or what have you. So I could just do wall, get off the machine now. And as you can see on the system, it popped up over here. It sent a message to that person saying, at this time, someone is sending you this message and where it came from to get off the machine. And that's really what wall is. And wall, there are commands that use wall inside of it. Find, I want to say for next week. SCP. So you could do SCP-help. So you can secure copy, and you usually find this on Cisco devices. Little small embedded devices usually have SCP. They'll have SSH, but it'll be limited, and then they'll have SCP. So I can SCP some information over. So, but let's do something first. Let's do a tar command. The cd up. I want to tar up the play directory. So I'm going to tar, and before I do, I'm going to tar -help. All right, because I want to show you some stuff, what I can do. Tar, where tar gets very powerful at. So I'm creating a tar file. So I know I need to use -c. I know that I want to compress it, which is the -z. And I want to maintain the actual parameters or permissions of that particular directory or file that I'm tarring up. So let's do that. So I could do, I want to grab play, so I could do tar -czvf. And then I want to do /play. Oh, hold on. I want to tar it up. I have to give it the actual name I want to name it, and then what I want to tar. So I did a verbose so I could see it. And the -f, when you put the F, when you do the F, you have to immediately put the file name. And the Z you compressed, and the C is when I say C, create, is to create the file. So I created, compressed verbosely the file play.targz and tar up the play directory. And you can see there's play. Now I want to have this same file on another machine. So I can use rsync, I can use rsync, and I can use SCP. So let me check our history here because I went somewhere. Grep SSH. I don't remember that file. I don't remember that machine. I'll have to go back and get it. Here we go, right here. This is the machine I want. I don't want to SSH. I want to rsync. So I'm going to rsync 159. I want to give it the file prav, and the file is play.tar.gz, and I want to go to 159.89.83.72, and I want to put that in /temp. Let's see what is it telling me. Oh, I didn't do my colon right here. So for all intents and purposes, this worked. Now, how do I check that? Because I don't have to log into that machine. I can just SSH, and I can do a ls on /temp, and you'll see my play.targz file is there. Right? So I can do the same thing with rsync. Let's do ls on /play. Not playing. And then I can rsync -prav. I want to do star over to my new machine, and I'm going to put that in temp, :temp, /temp. And you can see it's trying to copy everything, but kill that. But if I do it in ls, it's trying to copy everything. I should have did I didn't do the file, but anyway, when I go over here and look at /temp on this machine, 159.89.83.72 /temp ls, sorry. It started copying all that stuff and I didn't want to. So that's it. So the only command we didn't go over was T and find, and I'm gonna save those for next week, so we can have some runtime with that. I think everybody else left off. Alexander, I think you're the last man standing, literally.
Can you hear me?
On a call. We're gonna start recording.